Hello and welcome to What's Trending Today YouTube channel. And if you're new here, please subscribe.
Fellow Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians, we confirm the abduction last Friday, January 5th, 2017, of our President Sisiku Julius Ayuk-Tabe of the interim government of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, along with the following members of his presidential entourage. We have Mr. Mfongalamfo, Dr. Fidelis Ndeche, Dr. Henry Kimeng, Professor Awasum, Dr. Cornelius Kwanga, Dr. Ojong Okongo, Mr. Wilfred Tasang, and Barrister Nalowa D. On account of the security implications surrounding operations of the Vice President of the interim government from ground zero, the cabinet had a consensus to put together a team of 3 to stand the gap until our president is released with his entourage. What we want Southern Cameroonians to bear in mind is that nothing is lost. We must be steadfast because both the law and logic and the morality of international relations is on our side. We are working hard with the best of the lawyers we could lay hands on in Nigeria. Barrister Femi Falana, who is a renowned and resilient human rights advocate. He is not only operating from the standpoint of the law, but he is also engaging the Nigerian civil society and the government to rise up to their responsibilities, to protect our president and his entourage. We, on our part, we'd like to call on the Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians to make sure that just as we came out and stood up like one person on the 22nd of September 2017, this is an occasion when the central nervous system of our liberation movement has been struck. We need to stand as one person and make sure that we give all the support that is required to secure the release of our leaders and to march on with the struggle. We have refugees in Nigeria, and the repercussions of the success of the illegal collaboration to abduct our leaders would be grave. But we are happy that the United Nations is already dealing with our refugees in Nigeria. And in the same token, the United Nations would step in to protect our leaders. We have taken every disposition to ensure that our people will rise up and peacefully, because a peaceful approach has always been our argument, we will rise up peacefully and make our point heard before the Nigerian embassies throughout the world. Because Nigeria has the responsibility to protect not only its citizens but the residents. And the historical antecedents to the Southern Cameroon problem has something to get from Nigeria. We had a choice to either join Nigeria or the Republic of Cameroon. Nigeria voted in favor of our acceding to independence, while the Republic of Cameroon voted against our accession to independence and consequently joining them. This is a time for Nigeria to validate its vote And we can push through that, through political argument, through legal arguments. So we encourage all of you, Ambazonians, to ensure that the world knows that we are standing up as one person for our security and our right to self-determination. When your head is taken off, you are not alive. Sisiku Julius Ayuktabe is our head of the interim government and therefore our revolution. This is the time for you to stall any differences, any legitimate arguments that you may have for debate when we take over our territory and we have a parliament installed. But for now, we need to address the emergency of securing the release of our leaders. Self-defense is an issue, and we'd like to make it clear here that we have never advocated violence. We will never advocate violence, but it is within the international norms of human rights that when you push a people to the wall, they should be able to defend themselves. Our people are not armed, yet there's a war theater that the government of Yaoundé has established in our territory. We had said, when we did not know exactly who was behind the abduction, that imminently Yaoundé was involved. The promptitude with which Yaoundé has put a plane on the air to go and lift our leader shows that they have a dirty hand there with a few uninformed people. But Nigerian government's responsibility is something they cannot shy away from. We also take this opportunity to say that whatever be the situation, we are calling on the United Nations, on the African Union, on the Commonwealth Secretariat in London, that has given a criminal deaf ear to the situation in southern Cameroon that is just a replication of what happened in Rwanda, that genocide must stop. In fact, the abduction of our president and his entourage is nothing but part of the execution of the genocide agenda of Yaoundé. We are saying emphatically that the world should drop the criminal silence on the peoples of southern Cameroon, assume its responsibility to that part of common humanity, and ensure that they do not call for a dialogue when all people to dialogue must have been buried, like our compatriots who are right now in mass graves in the dungeons of Yaoundé. We speak for peace, but we want to make sure everybody who is a stakeholder in this abduction knows that we will not relent in our struggle. And we have put on the armor of God to make sure that we are on the right, since we stand on the truth. I take this opportunity too to encourage all Southern Cameroonians and friends of Southern Cameroon to make sure that they donate generously to the special fund that our Secretary of State in charge of finance is handling, to raise funds to pay the lawyers that we are engaging. We intend to have the lawyers from the United States, from England, to join the lead counsel, Femi Falana, to ensure that with all the professionalism that we possess in Africa, we are not put to shame in this ugly human rights situation that is developing. We encourage the members of ECOWAS to recall that, like all the African countries who are members of the AU, they are bound by the provisions of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. And they can rely on the decision of Communication 266, which identified us as a people and stand up and protect the right of the Southern Cameroon's Amazonian people to self-determination, which should not be compromised, not especially by abduction of leadership of the peaceful revolution that we have been leading. We are calling on the United States, and in particular, President Donald Trump, who has been known of late to be a man who doesn't mince his word. He spoke without mentioning names at the last UN session, General Assembly session, but he spoke to Mr. Biya. We are appealing to him and the entire United States government to translate those statements into concrete diplomatic action so that the 35-year standing Paul Biya can give an account of himself to Southern Cameroonians. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, this is a time when in other circumstances we would have been doing drafting, but because every conflict, whether it is executed through war or through dialogue, must end up at the dialogue table. Given that we have opted for the dialogue table, we encourage the world to support us, to stand and have an internationally supervised dialogue and bring peace, rather than give room to genocide, which is a crime against humanity. We shall be coming back. We brought this prompt message to ensure that our people are on alert and act promptly. Thank you for listening. We shall be back with more, particularly through our Secretary of State in charge of communication and IT. Thank you for listening, and goodbye for now.
Thanks for watching, and do not forget to hit the subscribe button. See you next time.